Every day, 83 million rolls of toilet paper are used around the world. With a market valued at over $71 billion, this product is an essential item in many households. But do you know how it's made? In this video, you'll see all the stages of toilet paper production, from the raw material to the final packaging. Toilet paper was developed in 1857 by the American entrepreneur Joseph Gaetti, who launched it on the market under the name therapeutic paper. In its early years, it was sold in packages of pre-cut sheets, but in 1990 there was an important advancement with the invention of the roll format, which revolutionized its use and made it more practical and accessible. Toilet paper is used by only 50% of the world's population. It is estimated that each person uses, on average, 100 rolls per year, which amounts to about 420 billion rolls worldwide. That would be enough to wrap around the earth several times if we unrolled it all. To meet the global demand for toilet paper, it is estimated that about 27,000 trees are cut down every day. To reduce tree cutting, the industry relies heavily on recycling other types of paper. But turning this used, hard, and rough sheet into this other white, soft, and absorbent one is a complex task that has been developed over the past few years. In this impressive paper factory, the production of the highest quality toilet paper is carried out, using an innovative recycling process that transforms discarded paper into a new product. The cycle begins with the arrival of tons of paper from schools, offices, and universities. Every sheet of paper that enters the factory goes through a meticulous selection process, where office paper, magazines, and newspapers are precisely distinguished and must meet strict purity standards. Only the papers that stand out for their whiteness and quality are chosen to be part of this incredible transformation. These papers have high-quality fibers and are easy to process to turn them into soft toilet paper. It's time to start the transformation process. The recycled paper is introduced into a machine known as a pulper, which is a huge industrial tank. It's a kind of giant blender designed to mix water and recycled paper at high speed, which breaks the paper down into its basic fibers. Next, a large amount of water is added, since the disintegration process requires the paper to be completely moistened to separate the fibers. Much more water than paper is used to create a watery mixture called pulp. Once the paper and water are inside the tank, the rotating blades start to stir the mixture with great force. This movement breaks the sheets of paper into small particles and releases the cellulose fibers that originally made up the paper. The stirring process lasts 10 minutes. As the paper is stirred and broken up, the cellulose fibers separate from each other, creating a fibrous pulp with a liquid consistency. Once the paper has been turned into pulp, it is crucial to remove any impurities or unwanted material that remain after the disintegration phase. The first cleaning method involves passing the pulp through a series of filters and screens to remove the larger particles that have not come loose. These filters work in a similar way to a sieve, separating impurities that are larger than the cellulose fibers. The liquid pulp passes through grates that retain larger objects, such as staples, pieces of plastic, glue, and other fragments of paper or materials that did not dissolve properly during disintegration. Although it has gone through several cleaning machines, the pulp is still dark. This happens mainly because its main contaminant still hasn't been removed: the ink. One of the most common techniques to remove the ink is flotation. In this process, air is injected into the pulp, creating bubbles. Special chemical agents, called surfactants, are added to the pulp so that the ink particles attach to the air bubbles. As the bubbles rise to the surface, the ink particles rise with them, forming a foam that is then removed. Once free of ink, the pulp passes through a series of rollers that squeeze out the excess water and absorb the bleaching chemicals. Afterwards, rotating blades cut the pulp to prepare it for bleaching, where it will be transformed from gray to white. The recycled pulp, now free of impurities, has had all its ink removed, but it still isn't white. This is because the raw materials contain between 5 and 10% newspaper, which contains lignin. To remove the lignin, a purely chemical process called bleaching is necessary. This takes place in this huge tank called the bleaching tower. Inside it, the pulp stays in contact with a series of chemicals for a few minutes at a controlled temperature, thus achieving the whiteness of toilet paper. To achieve the strength and softness so characteristic of toilet paper, two types of virgin fiber are used: short fiber and long fiber. The short fiber, obtained from hardwoods, gives toilet paper its shine, whiteness, and softness. On the other hand, the long fiber, which comes from softer woods, provides strength to the paper. Next, the bleach pulp is spread over a plate that passes through a powerful dryer. Most of the water mixed with the fibers is removed, allowing the fibers to bond together and form a solid sheet. In less than a second, the pulp turns into a thin sheet of paper with only 1/10 of a millimeter in thickness. Once fully formed, this sheet is rolled onto large reels. These reels are giant rolls of toilet paper that have not yet been cut into commercial sizes. Each reel can have up to 75 kilometers of paper. These large rolls will soon be reduced to thousands of small rolls, 10 centimeters wide, like we're used to having in the bathroom. Once the sheet of paper has been wound into large reels, it is transported to the factory's converting section, where several mechanical operations are performed to cut the paper into smaller rolls. The first step in the converting process is to unwind the reels. These machines are responsible for unwinding the paper in a controlled manner, preparing it to be cut and processed into smaller rolls. The toilet paper we use usually has perforation lines that make it easier to tear. As the paper is unwound, it passes through a perforating machine that creates small grooves along the paper. The purpose of embossing is to give the paper texture, which adds volume to the roll and, of course, makes the sheet softer. In another part of the factory, 2 sheets of cardboard, each 80 centimeters wide, are created. These sheets are glued together diagonally to form a continuous cardboard tube, which is then cut into sections 165 centimeters long. These tubes are taken to the winding area, where 2 rolls of paper are combined to create 2-ply toilet paper. The paper is wound onto the cardboard tubes, forming very wide rolls. As soon as the roll is complete, a blade automatically cuts it, and the process continues with the next tube. The end of the roll is sealed with glue to prevent it from unraveling. After these processes, the toilet paper rolls are packaged. And that was today's video. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel.